Hello and welcome. This is Notibot ENG. I'm your presenter, Name. In today's news recap, tensions in the Middle East continue to escalate. The conflict between Iran and its regional rivals reaches a boiling point, with live reports from the front lines and diplomatic fallout that threatens to derail peace efforts. We'll take you through the latest developments, from President Trump's comments on the blockade to Israel's deadly airstrike on medics. Let's dive into the stories that matter most in today's global news cycle. Breaking news from the Middle East as tensions escalate with a fresh warning from U.S. President Donald Trump about Iran's military response to sanctions. Good evening. I'm your name, and this is Al Jazeera's news recap. U.S. President Donald Trump has announced that Iran has reached out to Washington, asking for the lifting of its naval blockade on Iranian ports. This comes as tensions between the two countries remain high following a series of incidents in the region. According to Trump, the U.S. has agreed to suspend some of these sanctions in exchange for Iran's cooperation. The development is seen as a major concession by the U.S., which has been imposing economic sanctions on Iran since 2018 over concerns about its nuclear program and regional behavior. The blockade has had a significant impact on Iran's economy, with many businesses and industries struggling to operate due to limited access to international trade. The move also marks a shift in Trump's policy towards Iran, which has been marked by increased aggression and rhetoric. However, the details of what Iran has agreed to do in exchange for the sanctions relief are not yet clear. In other news, Israel has carried out a series of airstrikes on targets in Lebanon, killing several people. The attacks were aimed at militant groups in the country, but also injured medics and rescue workers who were trying to reach victims of previous attacks. The Israeli military said it was targeting Hamas and Hezbollah militants, but human rights groups have condemned the strikes as criminal. The incident has highlighted the ongoing tensions between Israel and Lebanon's Hezbollah movement. Following a series of escalating tensions, the world is now watching as two major flashpoints threaten to upend already fragile diplomatic relations. The deadlock over Iran's nuclear program and the Strait of Hormuz has crippled peace efforts in the Middle East, with tensions escalating between the U.S., Israel, and Iran-backed militant groups. Iran has been seeking to open the Strait of Hormuz, a vital waterway for global oil supplies, but its proposal is tied to the lifting of the U.S. naval blockade. In an online message from President Trump, he stated that Iran's situation was in a state of collapse and urged the opening of the strait as soon as possible. However, it's unclear if this refers to a genuine Iranian request or a statement made by the White House. According to the Associated Press, Iran offered to open the Strait of Hormuz if the U.S. lifts its naval blockade, but wants to postpone nuclear negotiations for later. The U.S. has reviewed an Iranian proposal, but details remain scarce. The situation in Lebanon is also deteriorating, with the U.S.-brokered ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah looking increasingly fragile. Despite a truce in place, Israel has carried out widespread strikes in southern Lebanon, while Hezbollah has fired several drones at Israeli troops. This escalation poses significant risks to regional stability and the oil industry. The crisis in Iran's nuclear program is a major concern for global energy security, with the U.S. seeking to limit Iranian access to advanced nuclear technology. The Strait of Hormuz blockade, on the other hand, has already disrupted oil supplies, fueling fears of price hikes and supply chain disruptions worldwide. We now turn to a developing crisis in the Middle East, as Iran's foreign minister urges swift action from the UN Security Council against a specific nation. Iran's ambassador to the United Nations, Amir Saeed Iravani, has urged the UN Security Council to take decisive action against Israel over its alleged breaches of the ceasefire in Lebanon. This comes amid heightened tensions between Iran and Israel, with Tehran condemning Israeli operations in Gaza, the occupied West Bank, and the Golan Heights as violations that require an international response. In a statement to the Council, Iravani called on Israel to immediately halt all attacks against civilian infrastructure and withdraw its occupying forces from Lebanon. He emphasized that this was not just a matter of regional security, but also a global concern, as Israel's actions could have far-reaching consequences for the entire world. The criticism comes after months of escalating violence in the region, including Israeli airstrikes on Palestinian targets and Iranian missile tests along the border with Israel. The situation has been further complicated by the involvement of other major players, including the United States and its allies. The The implications of Iravani's call are significant, as it represents a challenge to Israel's long-standing position of impunity in international diplomacy. By urging the Security Council to take action, Iran is seeking to bring Israeli actions under international scrutiny and potentially limit their ability to act with impunity. The fate of the ceasefire agreement remains uncertain, and this latest development has the potential to further escalate tensions in the region. Following a recent surge in tensions between the U.S. and China over Iranian oil imports, Washington is now threatening to sanction key financial institutions. The U.S. has issued an ultimatum to banks around the world, warning them that if they continue to facilitate oil deals between Chinese private refiners and Iran, they risk facing secondary sanctions. This move comes as tensions between Washington and Beijing are escalating ahead of a crucial leaders' meeting. According to reports, China's state-owned energy companies have been quietly buying Iranian crude, often through middlemen in third-party countries like India or Malaysia. The U.S. has long accused China of hypocrisy on the issue of Iran sanctions, given its own efforts to keep trade with Tehran alive despite UN sanctions. The Treasury Department has issued a statement saying that any bank that knowingly facilitates these deals could face secondary sanctions under the U.S.-Iran sanctions regulations. This would mean that banks in other countries, including China, are also at risk if they have ties to U.S.-listed companies involved in the transactions. The move is seen as a significant escalation of pressure on Tehran, which has already faced crippling sanctions from the U.S. and European Union for years. Beijing has been quietly trying to mediate between Washington and Tehran, but this latest development suggests that relations are at a breaking point. The implications are far-reaching, with oil prices and global markets expected to be affected by the increased uncertainty. Following a tumultuous week of regional tensions, diplomatic efforts to ease the crisis in the Middle East are hitting a snag. Iran's latest proposal for reopening the Strait of Hormuz has sparked tensions in the region as talks on reviving Middle East peace negotiations stall. The U.S. has indicated it will consider Iran's offer, but its decision is being closely watched by regional powers. The proposal, made by Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian, aims to ease sanctions imposed on Tehran over its nuclear program in exchange for access to the Strait of Hormuz, a vital oil route that connects the Middle East to global markets. The U.S. has long been wary of Iran's military ambitions and concerns it could disrupt global energy supplies. As tensions escalate, Lebanon remains a volatile hotspot despite a fragile ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah, a Shia militant group. The United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon, UNIFIL, has reported several ceasefire violations by Israeli forces, including airstrikes on suspected militant targets. Meanwhile, Lebanon's government is facing growing pressure to address the humanitarian crisis sparked by the ongoing conflict. The stalled talks and escalating tensions underscore the complex web of interests at play in the region. The U.S., EU, and Arab states are seeking a negotiated solution to the conflict, while Iran and its allies are pushing for concessions that could embolden Tehran's regional ambitions. As the situation continues to deteriorate, concerns about the stability of the Strait of Hormuz and global energy supplies remain pressing. That's all for today's news recap. We'll continue to bring you updates on the ongoing tensions between Iran and the U.S. If you'd like to stay up to date on these developments, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.